I finally found one disaster in the country you can in no way blame on Donald J. Trump. The BET Music Awards. Holy smokes. I know I'm of another generation, but come on. I kid you not. One guy came out and started, I guess you would call it performing. And I said, oh no, something's wrong with his microphone. His microphone's not working. This poor guy. But nope. Apparently, microphone was working fine. He wanted to sound like that. I gotta admit though, I do like that Cardi B. All angry and ignorant. You gotta respect someone who makes a ton of money but stays just as ghetto as the day they were born. Kinda like Donald Trump.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Gonna find you and take it slowly. Ready or not, here I come.
Here's the problem. My Democratic Socialist friends out there, at least one of the problems. How long has Bernard Sanders been fighting the oligarchy? I'm getting right to it now. No time for nonsense. Welcome to the Comparison Guy podcast. Follow, subscribe. You know what to do. How long has Bernie Sanders been fighting the oligarchy? Anyone know? Bernie Sanders has been in Congress warning us, the country, is turning into an oligarchy. The status quo ain't working. We need a revolution since the 80s. Here's a clip that I heard that was put together by, of course, a conservative outlet of Bernie, going back to the 80s, the 1980s, not the 1880s, the 1980s. Listen to this. You can't see it. There is a video, but you can't see it. So I'll tell you the year as we go. Listen.
This great country of ours
1993.
is moving very rapidly in the direction of oligarchy. The United States of America
1994.
today is increasingly becoming an oligarchy. More and more
1995.
moving toward an oligarchy. We are moving in the direction
2007.
of oligarchy. We will move even more rapidly
2012.
in the direction of an oligarchy. This great country
2014.
is evolving into an oligarchic society. It is called oligarchy,
2015.
and that is the system we are rapidly moving toward. This is a budget that moves
2017.
our country rapidly into the direction of oligarchy. A handful of
2018
billionaires are moving this entire planet toward an oligarchic society. Start off with the bad news.
2025.
Which is pretty bad, and that is that under Donald Trump, this country is hurtling rapidly toward oligarchy.
I swear it gives me no pleasure to constantly fuss about Bernie Sanders. But how do you ignore someone that's been telling you something's right around the corner for 32 years? Bernie's been telling us the oligarchy's coming for as long as they've been telling us flying cars are coming. It's never going to happen. Why? Picture the people you see on the roads every day up in the air. It ain't going to happen. But with Bernie, the oligarchy, it seems to me, has been around for 250 years, as long as we've been around. I saw a documentary one time where the federal government had to borrow money from a private citizen. It was either Cornelius Vanderbilt, John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, one of those guys. I think it was Rockefeller. The federal government was broke and had to go borrow money from him. And Bernie's been warning us about this oligarchy that's coming for 32 years. I think it's here, Bernie. I think it's been here. But that video confirms two things. One, what I've said many times, Bernie Sanders is a vampire because he doesn't age, and he's been saying the same thing for decades. He's looked the same way for decades. He's been saying the same way for decades. Doesn't matter. Democrats in control, Republicans in control, good economy, bad economy. The Clinton economy creating millions of jobs, mostly because of the 90s internet tech boom. Obama digging us out of the Great Recession. Biden pouring trillions into the economy because of COVID. Between Donald Trump and Biden, $5 to $6 trillion spent in about 18 months because of COVID. And Bernie said, okay, now we need a massive social spending bill. Don't act like you don't remember the $3.5 trillion social spending bill that Bernie crucified Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema for opposing. Unemployment was 3.4%, lowest since 1969. A starting wage of $15 an hour was the norm. It was the norm. At Walmart, at McDonald's, at Amazon, everywhere. Businesses were begging people, offering to pay people bonuses to come back to work. And Bernie was still on his oligarchy rant. I got to read this to you. Please stick with me because I think this is important. And just keep in mind, this is coming from a person who didn't necessarily agree with the Biden agenda. But listen to this. The American Rescue Plan of 2021. This pandemic-era relief legislation vastly expanded ACA, Obamacare, subsidies. It significantly lowered premium caps and eliminated the upper income cap for subsidy eligibility, making financial assistance available to middle and upper income households for the first time. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. This bill extended the enhanced premium tax credits, originally in the American Rescue Plan, for an additional 3 years. So that's what we remember the Democrats fighting Trump over, wanting to shut the government down because those subsidies were about to end. Remember that at the end of 2025? The Biden administration successfully canceled over $188 billion in federal student loans for more than 5 million borrowers through targeted existing programs. While his initial attempt at broad universal forgiveness was struck down by the Supreme Court, he provided relief through several channels. The public service loan forgiveness was revamped and expanded to cancel loans for teachers, nurses, and other public service workers. Income-driven repayment canceled debt for borrowers who had been making payments for 20 to 25 years. Disability and fraud discharges provided relief for borrowers with total and permanent disabilities and those defrauded by for-profit colleges. The Biden administration, hang in with me, the Biden administration enacted major progressive policy changes across healthcare, climate, and labor. Key actions included passing the Inflation Reduction Act to lower drug costs and fund green energy, authorizing trillions for pandemic relief and infrastructure, championing the most worker-centered economic platform since the Roosevelt administration. Major progressive policies and achievements included healthcare, social safety drug pricing, enabled Medicare to negotiate the prices of select prescription drugs, and capped out-of-pocket insulin costs for seniors on Medicare. Temporarily expanded the child tax credit, which cut childhood poverty to historic lows. Passed the Inflation Reduction Act to invest billions in clean energy manufacturing, climate resilience, and electric vehicle incentives. Established the American Climate Corps to train young people in clean energy and climate resilient jobs. Funneled federal funding into thousands of clean transit buses, rail projects, port modernizations. Pro-union policies that placed labor advocates in key regulatory roles and resulted in the president physically joining the picket lines. Remember, I criticized Joe for this. When Joe was saying he was the most pro-union president ever, I said that's like saying I'm the sluttiest porn star ever. Remember? Corporate tax reform imposed a corporate minimum tax and implemented taxes on stock buybacks to reduce wealth inequality. I already talked about the canceled student debt. Civil rights and judicial diversity. Appointed a historic number of diverse federal judges, culminating in the appointment of Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman on the Supreme Court. Created the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention to coordinate federal efforts on gun safety. I could go on, or I could just simply play all the clips of how awesome Joe Biden was from the Democrats. About Bidenomics and the record stock market and the American economy being the envy of the world and the most successful bipartisan president since FDR. I mean, if you're a Democrat, that seems like a pretty strong record, a pretty strong progressive record, and a message to take to the people when running against Donald Trump. But along comes Bernie. Along comes Bernie from the sidelines. Now we need more. It's not enough. Along comes Bernie to piss in everyone's Cheerios and remind us that everyone's not feeling it. Things might be going okay for some at the very top, but everyone's not feeling it. Bernie acts like he's Charlie Sheen at the Playboy Mansion. Everybody here ain't feeling it. I'm not leaving until everybody in this room feels what I got in my pants. For 32 years, Bernie has said the same thing and remain relevant. How is that possible? Well, because Bernie will never run out of people aged 18 to 25. He will never run out of people struggling and looking for someone to blame. It's the same reason, while the style may change a bit, the singer changes, But the teenage heartbreak songs or the boy bands in the music industry never really changes. It's the exact same formula because you always have an audience within that age group. You always got an audience going through heartbreak. I gave him the best 3 weeks of my life and he dumped me. You'll always have an audience. Bernie will always have an audience. Always someone new to discover the answer is end money in politics and corruption and corporate influence. The answer is power to the people. Workers unite and take on the oligarchy. Always someone new to quote unquote discover this. It's like someone discovering the sun. You don't have to look up to know it's there. I feel it, Bernie. So I really don't need you or Alexandria Dude, Where's My Capital Gains, Ocasio-Cortez, or Zoran Mamdani stating the problem, asking the right questions. I couldn't find the audio of this, but I did find the quote. I'll read. Former Obama advisor David Axelrod stated that while you may not agree with every answer or idea presented by New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani, Mamdani is certainly asking the right questions, which is, how do we make the country work for working people? Axelrod shared the sentiment during a visit to Mamdani's campaign headquarters, where he praised the candidate's determined and upbeat idealism. This is how others, like former President Obama and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, have tried to straddle the fence on Mamdani. Well, he's certainly asking the right questions. Yeah, so does a back pain infomercial. Does your back ache when you stand up? Do you have trouble picking up a refrigerator? I saw one the other day. The woman in the commercial actually said, does your back hurt when you stand for a long time? Well, yes. Yes, it does. Whose doesn't? Whose doesn't? I'm supposed to buy what she's selling because she asked the right question? Do you wish you could run as fast as you did when you were 18? Yes, I do. Buy these patent-pending cushion soft gel aerodynamically designed socks. I bought the socks because they were certainly asking the right questions. You may not agree with the answer, but who cares? It's time to change the status quo. Democrats, get on board or else. Or else what? Or else what? I'll listen.
There's now talk of a Democratic Party civil war ahead of the 2028 presidential election. On one side, Mayor Zoran Mamdani and fellow Democratic Socialists surging after sweeping 3 House races here in New York City. On the other, establishment Democrats led by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries reeling after 2 incumbent Democrats were booted from office. Jeffries today, though, downplaying concern about Socialists taking control of his party. It's wins by Democratic Socialists like Darya-Lisa Avila Chevalier, who wants to abolish prisons, borders, ICE, and deportations that have Democrats especially alarmed. And Martha, you mentioned it was Avila Chevalier who showed up to a rally celebrating the October 7th attacks, the day after those attacks, and she led those anti-Israel protests at Columbia University. Bottom line, Martha, last night here in New York City, Democratic Socialists won 9 out of 10 primaries.
Bernie Sanders, DSA revealed demands for Dem Party after Socialists sweep New York elections. Following a Socialist sweep in New York City's Tuesday elections, Senator Bernie Sanders, Independent Vermont, and the Democratic Socialist of America, DSA, are dictating their terms and sending warnings to the Democratic Party not to cross them. In a post-election call clipped by Manhattan Institute analyst Stu Smith, a DSA leader remarked that in addition to Socialist Mayor Zoran Mamdani, more than 3 million New Yorkers are now represented by socialists at multiple levels of government, and in some cases, that is every level of government. To anyone looking to break the DSA's hold on these areas, the leader warned, don't even try it, adding, we control these areas. We have a Democratic Socialist mandate in New York City, he said.
Don't even try it. We control New York City. A lot of people were playing a clip of one of the rallies after one of the Democratic Socialist candidates won. A picture of Hakeem Jeffries went up on the screen, and the people started chanting, "You're next." So obviously, just New York City is not where their ambitions are limited to.
There are a lot of people who would like you to run for president in 2028. And there are people who, there are others who would like you to run for the United States Senate Senator Schumer's up in 2028. What say you about all of this?
And what's funny about that is that they assume that my ambition is positional. They assume that my ambition is a title or a seat. And my ambition is way bigger than that. My ambition is to change this country.
Her words, not mine. Now, I cut that clip up quite a bit for time. So I want to tell you that because I don't want anyone to accuse me of taking her out of context, because she said a lot before she got to that, my ambition is to change the country. But it doesn't change the sentiment of what she was trying to say. She was talking about how the elites and the Jeff Bezoses and the people who own the algorithms want to put her in her place, and they assume that her ambition is only to be president, but her ambition is way bigger than that. So that's what she was saying. I'm not taking her out of context. The clip AOC on 2028, my ambition is way bigger than that. It's from C-SPAN, if you want to go and look at it. I always try and give you the source. So that's what she says. Alexandria, stolen valor, Ocasio-Cortez wants to change the country. I say stolen valor because that's when someone tries to pretend they were in the military and they weren't. For politicians, it's stolen valor for the struggle. I'm doing all this so people don't have to struggle like I did. Every politician. AOC didn't grow up poor. Ro Khanna from California, he's worth $232 million from a business his daddy built. He inherited it. Fact check it. I did. Gavin Newsom, I heard him on a talk show talking about his meager upbringings. It seems every politician who wants to say they're fighting for the working poor has to convince you they come from the working poor. Every politician, it's the same thing. You know, my mother was the rock of the family. You know, she raised us and instilled in me the work ethic and the grace I have today. But my mother, she also worked 4 jobs. So she wasn't around. So my 13 brothers and sisters looked to me. So at the age of 2, I took on a job lugging blocks of ice up 20 flights of steps. Just once, I would love to hear a politician say, you know, my parents weren't worth a dime. My father left when I was born, and my mother did the best she could. She worked a day shift as a stripper at a place called Slippery Buns, Buns with a Z. I can remember her taking me to work, and all day when my mother took the stage, I would hear, "Coming to the main stage, gentlemen. Unbuckle your pants and welcome Croatia." Just once. Just once. I like to hear that hard luck story from a candidate. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Mamdani. Mamdani said after the big primary wins, we are sending people to Washington, D.C. to bring money back to New York City. Well, hold on just a minute there now. Those are federal dollars he's talking about. Everyone's tax dollars. He can run New York City however he wants, but not with my money. Money for bridges? Okay, fine with that. I went over a bridge the other day that was held up by nothing more than children's nightmares. Money for airports? Okay. We found out at the start of Trump's term, Newark Airport was still communicating with pilots with Dixie cups on a string. So, okay. But Mamdani wants money to advance a socialist agenda. Not okay. That's not okay. He's mayor of New York City, not the mayor of the USA. So Mamdani and Liz Warren and Jasmine Crockett and Bernie and Ilhan Omar, this is exactly what Republicans want and moderate Democrats fear. This is exactly what Republicans want and moderate Democrats fear. That the face of their party is going to become the Democratic Socialists of America. So now what is that? Is that even a real thing? The Democratic Socialists of America? Well, this is a clip. This is a clip from an actual Democratic Socialists of America convention in 2019. Listen.
Right.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Okay.
Quick point of privilege once again. Hi, James Jackson, Sacramento DSA, he, him. I have already asked people to be mindful of the chatter of their comrades who are sensitive to sensory overload.
He's in a room with like 200 people.
For the heckling and the hissing, it is also triggering to my anxiety. Like, the be comradely isn't just for like, let's keep things civil or whatever. It's so that people aren't going to get triggered and so that it doesn't affect their performance as a delegate. Okay. Your need to express yourself is important, but your need to express yourself should not trump or
I see that no one's clapping for me. It could be because I'm not engaging, but it also is because everyone's doing this. And that's really important because those loud bursts of noise, even though this is a noisy space, when we can do something like reducing that, that's really important. So please don't clap, shoot up these. We have a lot of disabled comrades and a lot of those are invisible disabilities. You don't know who it is that is having a more difficult time navigating this space. And this space.
Listen. I'm trying my best here, Democrats. I swear I am. As a center-left person, I'm trying my best. But you have a growing movement within your party that calls each other comrades, fights over gender pronouns, gets mad if you make noise at a political convention because they're triggered by noise. And apparently some of them dress like their characters in Pirates of the Caribbean. And you want to let them take this national? You want to sit back and try and play the appeasement game and let them take this national? I swear, one of the biggest problems for the Democrats is they forget that there is a whole nother information universe out there that people do take seriously. It's not just the nutty stuff that's played, the Trump stuff, over and over. There's a whole nother information universe out there that center left, center right, moderate people do listen to and do take seriously. And that's a problem. Just listen.
Well, now that Obama-Sanders coalition has turned into the Mamdani coalition, and it's going to keep getting worse. Here, by the way, is what the Democratic Socialists of America actually believe. And this is their new platform. Abolish the Senate. Replace the president and the Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to the Congress. Defund completely the Department of War. Abolish all prisons. Free Palestine, of course, naturally, because, and this is the omni cause, and all complaints about Western civilization must be projected into love for a pseudo-state that loves terrorism, loves it. End sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, and Iran, naturally. Abolish ICE, grant amnesty for literally everyone, so open borders. Public ownership of all major corporations. And remake the elections nationwide. The ultimate goal, a Democrat Socialist Republic. And this is what their official platform. Now, in 2012, the DSA had 6,500 members. By February of this year, that was over 100,000. By the end of this year, it would be shocking if they don't have at least 500,000 registered members.
Now, a lot of that sounds kind of crazy, so we got to fact check it. I can't just take his word that that's the Democratic Socialist Party platform. I got to go to their website and take a look at the platform. So you ready? Platform.dsausa.org. Platform.dsausa.org. First, it goes through a preamble. Hang on. So I scroll down. Let me get through that. Says here, the U.S. and political economic system is failing the working class. Millions struggle with it. Yeah, we get it. Get to the solutions. Get to the ideas. Okay, here we go. Scroll down. Medicare for all. Universal health care with no premiums, co-pays, or deductibles. Guarantees for reproductive and gender-affirming care. End the war on drugs. Treat drug addiction as a health issue, not a criminal one. Fight mass incarceration and police brutality. abolish mandatory minimums, cash bail, demilitarize police departments, college for all, make all public education tuition free, no out-of-pocket costs, room and board, cancel all student debt, housing for all, establish universal rent control and guaranteed rights to counsel for tenants, public investment in building quality multi-income social housing, support working families, expansive paid family leave for all workers, free public universal child care and pre-K, a 32-hour work week with no reduction in pay or benefits, union power, okay, make it easier for workers to join unions, Green New Deal, massive public investment to transition away from fossil fuels, tax the rich. I'm shocked they didn't put that number one. Tax the rich, raise taxes on the richest earners, for-profit corporations, large inheritances, and private colleges and universities, establish a wealth tax for the wealthiest in society, free Palestine, an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza, end military economic aid, blah, 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 end the U.S. war machine, freedom of movement, allow workers to freely migrate between countries to seek employment without restrictive immigration controls, demilitarize the border, end all immigrant detention and deportations, immediate amnesty for all immigrants regardless of current immigration status, and provide access to jobs, labor rights, and social services to all immigrants. No more economic warfare. Again, ending sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, Iran. Universal suffrage, extend voting rights to people with criminal convictions and non-citizens, and establish statehood for Washington, D.C. What the F did you just say? Extend voting rights to people with criminal convictions and non-citizens? Okay. A representative Congress, limit the court's power of judicial review, popular vote for president, replace the Electoral College with a national popular vote for president. That's the Democratic Socialist of America's platform. Now listen to me now. Listen to me now. I remember clear as a bell when Barack Obama was president and Republicans' big talking point was Obama is a socialist. Obama's a socialist. He's a secret member of the Muslim Brotherhood. He's for open border and rigging elections by allowing non-citizens to vote for president, and he hates America. It's like the Democratic Socialists of America took all those Republican talking points from 2008 and formed their platform. I can't make this stuff up. Everything, all the messaging that Democrats were fighting the Republicans against back in 2008 in regards to Barack Obama, the DSA have made it their platform. He hates America. He apologizes for America. He's friendly with the Muslims. He's more friendly with the Muslims than he is with citizens of the USA. He's anti-capitalist. He's a socialist. He wants open borders. He wants to let people in the country illegally vote, thereby rigging elections. All of it. All of what Democrats fought so hard against that Republicans were trying to turn the Democratic Party in. You have people who are calling themselves Democrats trying to turn the Democratic Party into. I can't make this stuff up. Tell me the Democrat outside of New York City or maybe parts of California that want to be on the debate stage defending this platform. I have been telling you, Democrats insist on making this job so much harder than it needs to be. I said if Trump wins in 2024, it will be because of the Democrats, not Trump. Not Trump. Democratic candidate, where do you stand on taxpayer money going to abortions and gender-affirming care? You know, sex change operations. Well, we know it played so well for Kamala in 2024. Now Democratic Socialists want to make it one of the foundations of the party, of their platform. Democratic candidate, where do you stand on amnesty for all immigrants and access to social services like health care and child care for all undocumented immigrants? Well, we know that played so well for Democrats in 2024. Let's make it part of the platform. The DSA wants to allow immigrants from all around the world. Come here seeking employment. You'll be welcomed with open arms and given health care and child care. They want to make college free for everyone, cancel all student debt, which of course we know is not really canceled or forgiven. It just goes on our national debt. Free health care for all like they'll do in other countries, which I've explained 97 different ways does not exist. They pay taxes. So when you go to the hospital or have a baby or with a broken arm, it doesn't cost you anything at point of care because you already paid for it or you will pay for it because you don't have a baby or break your arm every month. It ain't free. They want to give all sorts of goodies, all paid for by taxing the rich, who they insist don't pay enough in taxes while at the same time insisting are always getting trillion-dollar tax cuts. Trillion-dollar tax cuts on taxes they aren't paying. Gadzooks, Democrats. Gadzooks. How are you letting this grow within your party? This is such an idiotic problem to create for yourselves. And it's not like it's new. It's not like Democrats haven't paid for this already. You know, Hillary wasn't firm enough on that $15 an hour minimum wage, and she dared give speeches to Wall Street. Kamala wasn't firm enough on trans rights. Joe Manchin was a Democrat in name only. So now you got Jim Justice as a senator in West Virginia. He's definitely a Republican in name and in reality. So was that a good trade-off? Sinema wasn't liberal enough. So out she goes. In comes Ruben Gallego, who people say isn't progressive enough. He ran as a progressive, then changed up to a moderate. So same as Sinema. Now the DSA wants to send people to Congress to challenge the establishment. As they said, you're next, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Gavin Newsom, Mayor Pete, Kamala, Josh Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer. They are sending a clear message to the Democrats. This is going to be our party. Cry if you want to. Now, there are some obvious idiots who still want to pretend that this is not happening. And I was going to play the clip, I'm not to save time, but I was listening to Huckleberry Joe, Morning Joe, arguing that what these Republicans are going to try and do, they're going to try and frame the Democratic Party as the more extreme candidates who won in New York City, but that's not the Democratic Party. Oh, no, there are plenty of moderates like Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey or Spanberger in Virginia. So that's really the Democratic Party. But they're going to try and frame us as extremists. Yeah, Morning Joe, that's exactly what they're going to do. He sat there and laughed and was rather insulting to the guy who was trying to say Democrats really need to be worried about this. They really need to be worried about this branding of their party as extreme. And Morning Joe says, don't be silly. It ain't going to work. As if it hasn't already worked. It's already worked. It got President Can't Get Right elected twice. You chucklehead. It's already worked twice. If not for COVID, we very well might have had 2 consecutive terms of Trump and then Mike Pence as president right now. Anyone who thinks that's a crazy statement is living in an alternate reality. We very well could be in the midst of 3 Republican Trump-like administrations that started back in 2016, all because Bernie wanted to challenge Hillary Clinton about what she said to Wall Street. She's too friendly to Wall Street. She's too friendly to corporations. And by God, we're fighting the oligarchy. I simply can't imagine people are not seeing what I'm seeing. I can't imagine that. The Democrats have lost 2 elections to Trump, and immediately after every election, they say the same thing. They say the same thing. They say, well, you know what? We moved too far to the left. Immediately after the election, they say, well, you know what? We took on divisive issues that we shouldn't have, like the trans issue. Immediately after the election, they say, you know what? We chased Trump down every rabbit hole. He floods the zone with nonsense. We got to stay focused. Immediately after the election, they say, we got to stop just preaching to the choir. We got to talk to middle America. We just can't rely on the coast and big cities. They say the same thing after every single election loss, and then they go back and they do the same thing they were doing that cost them the election. I can't be the only one seeing this. I have no idea if it's stupidity or if it's for clicks or if it's for a thirst for power. I have no idea. I swear I don't. If Bernie or Mamdani or Alexandria Nor'easter Ocasio-Cortez has any idea of the destructive impact they're making on the Democratic Party. Does a Nor'easter know it's a Nor'easter? I don't think so. Doesn't know about its destructive impact, and I don't think they know. If they do, they clearly don't care. about their destructive impact on the Democratic Party. That just doesn't make any sense. And listen, you may think at this point I'm giving you a one-sided version of this argument. Okay, let's listen to some left-leaning people talk about what's going on. Let's listen to the Obama boys. This podcast I talk about all the time, very popular, #1 podcast on the left, Pod Save America. Let's listen to them talk about what's going on. So you know I'm not being biased, that it's only coming from the right. Listen.
Well, before we get too excited about what that midterm might look like, let's talk about what's going on the Democratic side.
Oh, fun.
Speaking of inter-party turmoil, we got some fresh drama brewing, thanks to the good people of New York City who had quite a primary on Tuesday. A slate of 3 candidates endorsed by ZORHAN Mamdani won their Democratic primaries in deep blue House districts. 4-term Representative Adriano Espaillat, head of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and the first undocumented immigrant to serve in Congress, lost his Harlem Bronx district in an upset to a leftist community organizer named Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier, a Democratic socialist who also believes in abolishing prisons, police, and all deportations. But to give everyone a flavor of how the DSA victories are landing in the world of politics, here are reactions from James Carville, ZORHAN Mamdani, and Hakeem Jeffries.
Everybody's always said, no, we're a coalition, we're a big tent. And there's just some shit that I can't be in the same camp with.
What is the Democratic Party if not its voters? And what we saw yesterday evening were Democrats across the city turning out and voting for a new kind of politics.
You can't think this is a positive development in New York politics, can you? And they'll just, Dems will be Dems or something like that. I don't see how you can say that. You need You need to reject those things. I think.
First of all, I've clearly rejected those things. That's number one. Number two, and my record speaks for itself. This is not a Dems will be Dems situation. Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America right now. Are you kidding me?
Really here, the panic is over. Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier. And I will just say, she might be the most left-wing candidate to ever win a Democratic primary in our lifetime. There's been a lot of focus on her old tweets, which she has deleted and mostly apologized for. I'm fine with that. My general position is to give people a chance who want to take back something they said or posted.
3,000 tweets?
Things that I've posted. And I also think that some of her tweets have been taken out of context and exaggerated. Here's where I have a problem. She has not apologized for attending an anti-Israel rally on October 8th, 2023. The other problem I have, she sat for an interview with the New York editorial board last week, where she said she's against all deportations. She's for open borders because, quote, bordering is a very modern construct, actually. The borders are in our hearts and our minds. She wants to abolish prisons and refused to say, when asked, she got 4 different chances on this, refused to say that a convicted murderer should be sentenced to any jail time at all. And they kept giving her another chance. Are you sure? But what happens to the murderer that just convicted? Nothing. But I think the reason I bring this up is because when Democrats get questions about this, I think the answer is easy and important to give, which is that she currently holds a range of views that go from moronic to abhorrent.
Maybe she comes to Congress and she's a productive member. Maybe she's not. It doesn't. But it's just I think I'm not
saying it's the end of the world. I'm saying that I actually think it's very easy here.
Oh yeah.
What I'm saying, don't do is
gift.
she is about to be the biggest celebrity on the right of all time. She's already starring on Fox in every fucking segment, and it's going to be like that forever. And you know what? Most people, when they hear her, there's tape of her saying all these things last week. When they hear that, they're going to be like, this is nuts. And then if they go to Democrats and be like, what do you think? And Democrats are like, it's not a big deal. Everyone's freaking out over nothing. Then you would not blame the voter for being like, well, that's weird. Why wouldn't you just say it's crazy?
The question of our lifetimes. Why wouldn't you just say this is crazy? When Trump exploded on the scene, that was the question that you could put to any Republican. Why don't you just say he's crazy? And now here we are as I live and breathe. You got Democrats, some Democrats out there who don't want to just say, listen, a lot of this stuff coming from Mamdani and Democratic Socialists is crazy. It's crazy. Listen, a nut is a nut, no matter what shell it has. Hazelnut, walnut, pecan, macadamia. A nut is a nut, no matter what shell it has. MAGA, Tea Party, Democratic Socialists of America, a nut's a nut. Now, when your nuttery, is that a word? When your nuttification is pointed out by saying we should abolish prisons and let the murderers out. Prison ain't doing them no good. Wait, what did you say? What I'm saying is, if someone is convicted of murder, don't send them to prison. The response to that can't be, well, the other side has said some nutty things in the past, too. Democrats, that cannot be your best response. Hakeem Jeffries, when you're asked about the nuttification of your party, your response can't be, well, Trump, and we're focused on affordability. That's what you've been trying to do. That's the fence you've been trying to straddle for I don't know how long, and that's what's been costing you elections that you should not lose. And I fully understand the energy. I fully understand the desire to fight. I really do. No one wants to feel helpless or sit and watch what they believe to be wrong or unfair play out right in front of them and do nothing. I get that. But call me crazy. If I'm going to take on a fight, I want to have some expectation of winning. And I want to believe if I do win, the result will be positive. I'm not seeing a positive result from this fight between the Democratic establishment and the DSA. I'm not seeing a positive result. I believe if you send a moderate, an independent, a center left, a center right, even a John Fetterman, stay with me, don't let me lose you. Even if you send a John Fetterman to Congress, you at least have a chance of getting that person to be reasonable. The people that I'm seeing right now growing in the Democratic Party, the Democratic Socialist, I do not see any chance of getting them to be reasonable or compromise or back down on anything. After all, when have you ever seen Bernie Sanders back down or cooperate or compromise on anything? You remember when I said I was okay with money going to New York for bridges, for airports, for infrastructure? Guess who wasn't okay with that? Representative Jamal Bowman of New York, Representative Cori Bush of Missouri, Representative Alexandria not rooting for America in the World Cup Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, Representative Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, Representative Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. In other words, the squad, the progressive squad, all voted against Joe Biden's infrastructure bill. Now, no, not because they were against infrastructure, because they wanted it their way. They wanted the infrastructure bill tied to a separate economic package. In other words, they were not willing to compromise for money from a Democratic administration to bring money to their districts for roads, bridges, schools, climate initiatives, and jobs. They'd rather vote against a $1 trillion bill from their own administration that would bring jobs to their district than compromise on what they wanted. Bernie Sanders, by the way, in the Senate, voted for the infrastructure bill. He was a yes vote on the infrastructure bill, in case you're wondering. I got to tell you, when it comes to Democratic Socialists or progressives, you would be hard-pressed to find a group of people who more angrily want their agenda to be heard and listened to and respected, but have zero interest in listening to the counter-argument. They want to be heard, but they don't want to listen. Counter-argument to unions? You want to listen? Nope. Don't bother. Counter-opinion to the trans issue? You want to listen? Nope. Don't bother. Counter-opinion to immigration? You want to listen? Nope, don't bother. Counter opinion to capitalism? Nope, don't bother. To the Middle East? Nope, don't bother. To any issue, zero interest in listening to any other opinion, even a liberal opinion. So when did this happen? When did we become a country of such absolutes? You're either 100% right or you're 100% wrong. No room for, well, maybe this way is better. Not that you're right or wrong. Maybe this way is just better. This way is better under these circumstances. Or this way is better in cities, but this way is better in rural areas. This way is better for overall positive results. This way is better for the short term. This way is better for the long term. Whatever happened to that? Discussing, listening, and finding the solution that will work best for the most people. This way is better. Whatever happened to that? Nope. It's my way or just burn it all down. Democrats better wake up. The Democratic Socialists of America are not liberals. They're not on your team. They're not on your side. Kamala was a liberal. You see how they feel about her? That nutty woman with the prisons, she's quoted as saying, F Kamala. F Kamala. I can't wait to see the presidential Democratic primary debates. I swear I can't. Kamala trying to be progressive, but not insanely progressive. Alexandria Macadamia Nut Ocasio-Cortez trying to be the most progressive, but sound rational. Newsom trying to be handsome and charming, but wants to make sure you see he's pissed off, so you know he's a little crazy too. Gretchen Whitmer, Cory Booker. Oh, please run Cory Booker. At least give us something to laugh about. J.B. Pritzker, Mayor Pete, whoever. If they agree to play nice, they'll look weak. If they go hard at one another, we'll have a repeat of 2016. They'll send a damaged candidate into the 2028 election. And I got news for you. If you give me a moderate, damaged Gavin Newsom versus a damaged Marco Rubio, it's a 50-50 toss-up for me. Ooh, that's the show. That's the episode. Thank you so much for listening. It's so hot, I had to do this episode in the nude. Ooh.
Friends, how many of us have them? Friends, ones we can depend on. Friends.
Come on, Democratic Socialists of America. Let's be friends.
Before we go any further, let's be friends.
Please follow. Please rate. Please share. I appreciate it if you do. The only way I'm ever going to grow. Doing my best over here. You got to do your part too, you know.
I don't know. Imagine smoking weed in the street without cops harassing. Imagine going to court with no trial. Lifestyle cruising blue Bahama waters. No welfare supporters. More conscious of the way we raise our daughters. Days are shorter, nights are colder. Feeling like life is over. These snakes strike like a cobra. The world's hot, my son got knocked. Evidently, it's elementary. They want us all gone eventually. Trooping out of state for a plate. Knowledge, the coke was cooked without the garbage. We'd all have the top dollars.
Thanks for listening.
Flashing, fashion, designer clothes.
Hopefully it won't be as long in between episodes, but I will see you next time.
The covers, just some thoughts for the mind. I take a glimpse into time, watch the blimp read the world is mine. If I rule the world, imagine that. I free all my sons. I love them, baby. Black diamonds and pearls. Could it be, if you could be mine, we both shine. If I rule the world, still living for today, in these last days until where to be. Paradise life relaxing, black, Latino, and Anglo-Saxon. I'm on the exchange, the range, cash, lost tribe of Shabazz, free at last, brand new whips to crash, that we laugh in the illa path. The villa houses for the crew, how we do, trees for breakfast, dime sexes have been stretches. So many years of depression make me vision the better living, type of place to raise kids in, opening eyes to the lies, history's told foul. But I'm as wise as the old owl. Plus the gold child, seeing things like I was controlling, click rolling, tricking 6 digits on kicks and still.